Hey guys, and welcome back to Live Well and Yoga. I'm your host, Christine Demal. Thank you so much for listening in and joining in. I appreciate every single one of you. And you know what's funny? As I was setting up, someone walked by that I knew, and they're like, "Oh, are you doing a photo shoot?" And by the way, if you hear any noises, I am recording in a very large entertainment lounge area that's just open. So anyone at any moment can just walk by. The two rooms I usually record in, the lighting's a little dark, so I thought, you know what, this has really great lighting, and I'm just going to take the risk and record in here because this year is all about not giving a fuck. And that's the tone I want to set for this year, just to be my authentic self. And, it's all about the mission and the goal. So I'm recording in this room. So if anybody walks by, I live in a complex where people can be doing self-guided tours. So if anybody comes through and if you hear any background noise, that's because I'm in a very large public space at the moment. But anyways, as I was setting up, someone walked by and they're like, "Oh, are you doing a photo shoot?" And I was like, "Oh no, I'm recording an episode for my podcast." And they asked a little bit about it. And then they asked too, "So how many subscribers do you have?" And it was such a humbling moment because as you guys can see, I have 8 subscribers. I don't know how many people are actually watching it, but I have 8 subscribers, and I'm grateful for each and every one of you. And thank you, best friend, for subscribing 5 times. Just kidding, but you guys are the OGs, and hopefully by the end of this year, I'm able to share, just my journey of personal development, and hopefully it inspires you to do the same. And speaking of that, that's what I want to talk about in this episode, personal development. And one of the reasons Live Well and Yoga started is based on my self-care journey and just my journey of personal growth and really trying to find myself. There was a time, it was around 2017, where I just didn't feel aligned. I didn't feel aligned in my social circle with relationships, and I just felt so content with work. And I realized that I needed to isolate. I needed to take a step back and figure myself out because the things around me wasn't aligning with me. It didn't feel good. It didn't sit good with me. And one of the concerns was toxic relationships. I was just in this pattern of you know, meeting the wrong ones, dating the wrong ones. And I realized, okay, there is a, common denominator here, and it's me. So I thought, I need to work on me and understand what the fuck is happening. And from that experience, I went through therapy, I read self help books, I really just tried to understand. And through the experience, I realized what I was allowing in these relationships also reflected in my different areas in my life. I was just going with the flow. And, everybody has a flow. So I was going with the flow of, friends. I was going with the flow of the relationships. I was going with the flow of work. It didn't sit well with me. Something was off. My alignment was off. Things weren't right. So, when you step away from things, when you step away, especially with maybe a social circle, you're going to get backlash. You're going to get well, what the fuck are you doing? Why are you doing this? Like, come on. But there was something, a voice inside, there was just a fuel inside that said, no, you need to isolate, do whatever you need to do to find yourself, to find what aligns with, I had to find what aligns with me. And if you're in the same predicament or situation, you have the choice to change. You have the choice to step away. You have, there are people walking by. You have the choice to step away. You are the driver in your own seat. And I didn't recognize that because I didn't have my boundary set. I didn't recognize my value. And when you go with the flow, when you go with everybody else's flow, you're flowing in so many different directions. It's exhausting. And you probably feel exhausted but don't know why. You could blame it on work. Like, oh my gosh, work is so busy. They're just making me work overtime, but really it's all about your energy. And if your energy is taken left to right, upside down, you're going to feel so drained and so exhausted. And if you don't take a step back, or you if you don't recognize, well, what is it that's actually exhausting me, then you're just gonna, at least for me, I just kept going in this repetitive cycle of going with the flow, going with everybody else's energy. And so that was the first step in recognizing that I needed to remove myself from certain situations, from certain relationships, and just find me. And it all started with self help books, personal development books. I researched motivational speakers on YouTube, which really opened the doors and really allowed me to become self-aware. Of course, I went to therapy, self therapy, journal writing helped tremendously just to get my feelings out. But with all these resources, I was able to, find clarity and really recognize, it wasn't what was happening to me, but what I recognized the energy that I was allowing into these relationships. I was a people pleaser. I went with the flow. I didn't want confrontation, so I just let things be. And, I played it cool. And at the time, I was like, you know what, that's cool. I could go with it. But really, when it comes down to it, I really couldn't go with it because it was really exhausting inside, and it was, stepping, crossing my boundary, and also at the same time it was affecting my peace of mind, and also I was actually dimming my own light. And so I took a leap of faith into this bubble of self-care. And with COVID, I worked remote at the time. That was my year of self reflection, self development, personal growth, because we couldn't go anywhere. So I was just at home. Of course, I worked remote, but I was just at home pretty much alone, where I could, all these feelings surfaced, emotions surfaced, where I can connect and really truly understand, okay, well, why am I feeling these feelings? It was a year of truly self reflection, and I'm so grateful for that year. Um, and it allowed me to see, okay, what was I actually allowing in these friendships? Because I was still not just friendships, but also relationships, but even also professionally. It allowed me to see that I was just going with it. And I recognized that I had the power to change the trajectory of the path. I then, in my mid 40s, even with a bachelor's degree, I took classes in order to just expand my mind, expand my interest, really find my spirit, and what really speaks to my soul. And my friends know how many certificates and little, all these different directions and paths I cross, but I'm thankful for all the experiences, because each and every one, even if they are in different categories or subjects, it allowed me to truly find, my interest. And actually, I was all interested in every single path that I went into, but it all kind of relates into what I'm doing now. And I'm so grateful for that time, because there was so much growth, so much personal growth, and, self love and self reflection that allowed me to really create the boundary and to really redirect my path that aligns with me. And, sometimes I see myself falling back into old patterns, but I recognize that, I'm more recognizant of those things. And if I do fall in if I do fall and redirect to a path that doesn't align with me, I feel it in my bones. I feel my energy just being exhausted, and so I know it's time to redirect, because it's not easy, when you're in a bubble of self-care, and say you're not socially interacting with anyone, you're not putting yourself to the test. But when you put yourself out there in the social world, in dating, and even in work, you take yourself accountable now to hold up to that boundary. But I'm so thankful for that time, because there was so much personal growth, and that's what I want to share with you guys. Like, I had such, when I think about it now, and it's almost, humbling to admit, but I had such a lack mindset, even though I had this potential, I wasn't perceived as that. But when I look back, it's when I look back at this, I guess, version of me that I was, that I allowed myself to be, you may relate. It could be from, you know, which I learned from therapy. It could stem from abandonment, just because my dad died when I was little. So, just what I've learned from therapy, that, I fear abandonment. And so I recognize, and you could maybe relate if you have a similar situation. And you have to ask yourself, what are you actually valuing? You know, you have values. You want trust, you want communication, you want commitment. But what are you actually valuing in this relationship? Time, are you valuing the time they give you, which may not be all the time that you want? Are you valuing the attention? It could just be these superficial things. And in a way, this relationship, or it could be a friendship, whatever it is, maybe it's just a distraction of actually what you truly want. It's a distraction from the commitment. It's a distraction from working on your goals. It's a distraction from so many other things. But if you could let go, and, this may not be relatable to a friendship, it just could be relatable to maybe fears or, you know, non tangible things. But once you really truly focus on, the connection, these things that you're avoiding, I guess, may not even have to be relatable to a connection with someone, may not be a relationship, may not be a connection with a friend. It may just be a connection with yourself. What are you fearing? What are your fears? Are you, fearful of judgment, abandonment, criticism? But really, when you focus on those things and detach from these emotions or these ideas that we have in our mind, that someone's judging us, someone's going to criticize us, and probably someone is going to. I have 8 subscribers on this. Do I give a fuck? No, because I have to start somewhere, right? Like, people could say, like, I don't know, people could be out there saying, oh, that's so cute, you're doing that, but I'm not hearing it. I'm just hearing myself believing in this vision that I see, because when I started my personal growth journey, I just, going back to having this lack mindset, if I can change, you guys can change. And that's real, because I had such a lack mindset. And from the outside, probably didn't seem like that. But when I look back, I definitely had a very lack mindset, and I had to fuel myself with self care in order to elevate my mind. I'm still working on it, of course, but I had to really understand my actions in order to elevate my mental space. I had to clear my mind of any negativity, clear my mind from toxic relationships, and open up that space for positive ones. And so, you know, that's what I really want to share, that if I could change, you guys can change. And that's really where it starts. Change really begins with you, because as you know that we cannot change people. We can only change how we react to the situation. We are the ones who could decide if this aligns with me or not. If it aligns with you, then it's all good. But if it doesn't, you have the choice to walk away. And sometimes it's just so hard to walk away because we're so wrapped up into whether it's an idea we have of this person, or whether, we're just blindsided by, the good. Of course, this person has a good side, which probably doesn't outweigh the bad side, but we hold on to that goodness because, of course, we want that. We want it to work. We want this idea of what we had for this relationship to work. But when you can truly recognize that it isn't working in your favor and walk away, you will allow yourself that self-love to elevate. And if you are in that, and if you are in a situation where you have walked away and you just don't know what to do with yourself, if there's a passion project, throw yourself into that passion project. If you're on a mission that truly, if there's something that you want to do, a passion project that that will fulfill your soul, I would say put that energy towards that, because we could spend our times just being busy by running errands, buying things, returning things. Of course, we love our friends, and, making plans with friends is probably the first thing we want to fill our time with. But say that friend isn't available, or, your friends aren't available one night. What are you actually going to do? So it's like, yeah, it's instant gratification, hanging out with friends, going out for drinks. But when you could really fuel yourself from the inside out, that's when you elevate. That's when you feel a lot more, that's when you feel empowered. And whatever negativity that you're dealing with will, that energy that you fuel yourself with will outweigh the dispiriting feelings you felt from this relationship or friendship or whatever it is that you're trying to step away from. So when you could find something that truly fuels yourself, whether it is starting a podcast, whether you want to write a book, or, it's just going for a walk, or maybe you've been wanting to, you know, join a yoga studio and start taking yoga classes, whatever it is that fuels your spirit, that's when you elevate yourself. So at the start of my journey, I really didn't know what I wanted to do or what I needed to do. I just had to take a step back, look at the overall purview of what I was allowing into into these relationships, into these friendships. And I just started with me. I just started with my physical wellness, which led to my mental wellness, which led to, it's just a fulfilling experience over time. There's going to be sweat and tears for sure. And when you could really dive in and find that introspection and really find yourself, that's where, when you can dig deep. I mean, if you can just get halfway there, let's just start halfway. Let's just start, maybe surface level. Let's just take care of the physical first, maybe. Or maybe that's the mental, whatever suits your soul. But maybe just start somewhere that really fuels your mind. Maybe it's just losing 5 pounds. That losing that 5 pounds will elevate you to maybe lose another 5 pounds. That's if you need to lose the 5 pounds. Or maybe going to a Pilates class, you felt the strength that, I'm doing mat Pilates with an app that I have. And it was a very humbling experience this morning, because I'm a yoga girl, but I've just started adding Pilates into the mix. And it's no joke, but it hurt, but it was, it was like I wanted to cry, but I'd rather cry tears of strength than cry tears of dispiriting pain from a relationship. So, you get to choose which one. But if you don't know where to start, just start with yourself, because that's where you elevate. That's where you feel your spirit. And then you'll connect with people who are on the same page. You enter relationships with strength versus need, because how you're showing up, let's just take it back to the situationship, how you're showing up into a situationship or a relationship that's non-committal, isn't how you would show up to a relationship that is committal. You're not giving your full authentic self to this situationship because, first of all, they don't want it. They don't want your full authentic self. They just want a part of you. They want the surface level part of you. So that's truly what you're giving into, whether it is a friendship, whether it is a relationship. And it's so tricky when it comes to friendships, because it could be so subtle. Because if these are your friends that you've had for years, or maybe just a short time, and everything seems all to the good, you could be giving a surfaced version of yourself, without even realizing it. Because when it comes to friendships, it's like, you're having a good time. And so you may not even realize that you're just giving a surfaced version of yourself. But, when it comes to, say, a non committal relationship, you're not giving your true energy into this relationship, because first, you have to admit that they don't want the true version of you, the true authentic version of you. They want a surfaced version of you. So over time, you're going to keep giving this surfaced version of yourself that's going to become a norm. And so it's almost like it's almost shaping who you are. You're shaping yourself into this version of you, which is created by a falsity of this relationship, which really isn't you. It really doesn't align with you. So when you can give yourself to a friendship, to an intimate relationship, a full, authentic version of you, that's when, you shine. You're not going to dim your light for anyone when you're in a relationship that's on the same page. So, and if you do step away from this relationship with an abundant mindset, you're not stepping away from, a long lost love. You're just stepping away from something that didn't work out. It could be a disappointment just because we had an expectation. It's just a bummer. If you can just see it as a bummer, you will feel so much better. Like you'll have a breath of fresh air, because when you can detach from the idea of losing this love, which wasn't even a love, it was just, a disappointment. Like, okay, it's all good. You, you'll feel so much better. And also know too, if you do have an abundant mindset, maybe it's just not the right time. You don't want to enter this relationship on a based on a need. You want to enter this relationship based on strength. So when you work on yourself, maybe this relationship is just, there's a pause. Maybe you need to take a step back, take a pause, and if time happens, if it works out in the long run, maybe you can reconnect on a level of strength and want versus need. But it's all starts with you and creating those boundaries, reassessing your vision, reassessing your goals, your values. What are you actually valuing versus your values? And recognizing that you are so worthy of much more than you are allowing into your life. So 2025 is going to be your year. I am rooting for this year because I feel like last year was just a stepping stone in the, most beneficial way. But this year is going to be the year that you shine, that you stop dimming your light. So it's all about recognizing your values, recognizing what are you actually valuing, and making 2025 your year to shine, to meet a better version of yourself. And if you've already found a better version of yourself, there's always another layer to peel, because that's what I'm finding. Like, I found a better version of myself, but each year that I let go of something else, or say like I learned from an experience, I'm finding another version of myself underneath it all. Like, it's just there. She's just hiding. And it's so cool to see, and it's so cool to experience, because I have moments where I feel I'm being dragged down, like I can't see the light at the end of the tunnel. But when I recognize, you know, it's not just about recognizing who the fuck I am, but recognizing I am the driver in this seat. I'm going to work on myself, and I'm going to work on my mental and physical health. But when you can do that, there's just the jujus just elevate you from the inside out. And then you can recognize who the fuck you are, because you are so deserving of so much more. And that's what I want to share, because the other side of me couldn't see the light, repeated patterns, dated, you know, I was in toxic relationships, repeating patterns, people pleased for so many years, and I didn't realize what was happening until I realized I needed to change. So change truly begins within you. We can't change others. We can just change um, how we navigate through life. We can change our reactions. We could remove ourselves from the situation. We truly have the choice, and when you do that, you're not removing yourself from the situation, you're bettering yourself. And at the same time, they could better themselves if they choose to. And if they do, you could reconnect on a different dynamic. And if they don't, then it didn't align and it didn't work out, and you're gonna just surround yourself with people that truly align with you. So this year is your year to stop dimming in the shadows. You're gonna shine so bright this year, And it's just a reminder to myself that even in the dark times, there's light at the end of the tunnel. And I know you see it. I know you feel it. You feel it in your bones that you want to do something, so whether it's creative, you have a mission, or maybe it's just personal growth, or, maybe it is you want to find a connection and maybe you want to find love. But that all really truly starts from you and setting that boundary, elevating yourself from the inside out, elevating yourself from within so that you can connect with people that you are, that truly align with you and what you're deserving because you truly, truly are. So that's all I have, you guys. Leave a message in the comments below. Let me know if this is relatable, or let me know what else you'd like to chat about. And until then, live well and of course yoga. Bye, guys.